So it depends on how does the job guarantee compare to the universal basic income or the UBI. My answer is it depends on the version of the UBI that we're talking about. I often have a lot of trouble pinning people down and getting them to say exactly what they mean. Sometimes people refer to a UBI and they point to, what Alaska does here in the United States. But, Alaska provides a dividend to people who live in Alaska, an annual dividend, but it fluctuates. It might be $1,200 one year. It might be closer to $2,000 another year. But clearly, that is not a universal basic income that allows you to, satisfy all of your basic needs. Sometimes people talk about a UBI and they say, no, a universal basic income is supposed to be enough money paid out to everyone so that they can meet all of their basic needs on an annual basis. Okay, so sometimes people say things like maybe it's in the US, it might be $30,000 a year. Wow, that's a lot. And if you start multiplying across the number of people who would receive that, this is a huge share of GDP. And so if you push them and you say, how are you going to put that much money into people's hands and fuel, spending in the economy without setting off a massive inflationary problem? And they usually say, well, we're going to cut other programs. And so the UBI payment will allow you to meet a whole bunch of your needs, including health care, saving for your retirement, right? Child, all these other things. So a lot of existing government programs, part of the existing social safety net, go away. So they would eliminate things like Social Security in the US, Medicare, right? Medicaid, food stamps, a whole host of programs that are there as a safety net for people who are vulnerable. And they would say, well, we don't have to spend on those anymore because we're sending you a check every year. Okay. That worries me a great deal. And I worry for a couple of reasons. One is that you're replacing mandatory spending. Well, this is the way it's treated in the budget, right? The government doesn't have a choice when it comes to some of these programs, Social Security and Medicare, for example. These are mandatory programs. The government has to spend when people qualify for these programs. UBI would be discretionary, right? So you'd be replacing protections that are there and guaranteed and lawmakers can't mess with a program that they could change, cut, or eliminate a year or two after it's implemented. So it seems to me very risky for that reason. The other thing that worries me is a universal basic income, if it is truly universal, means everyone gets the payment. It means that the unemployed person who currently has no income, is on, let's say, unemployment compensation, or maybe doesn't even have that, now gets the $30,000. But so do people like Bill Gates, right? So what's a very wealthy person going to do with their $30,000? They're going to not spend it into the economy. Okay, they have all the money they could possibly want, and an extra $30,000 isn't going to cause them to go out and buy a new car or replace the refrigerator that's been on the fritz for a while. They're not going to spend it. They're going to invest. They're going to buy stocks. They're going to, so they're going to increase their wealth. Whereas the person at the bottom is going to spend everything they have and have no new wealth. So I worry a lot about the impact of a universal basic income on wealth inequality in particular. And I worry about what it means for the social safety net and the security if we were to abandon programs that are currently in place in favor of this discretionary kind of spending on a UBI. Whereas the job guarantee says, look, it addresses income for those who most need it, right? It's a program that aims directly at the unemployed. You're unemployed, you don't have an income, you want to work, this program is for you. It gets very difficult to imagine how it would be easier for Congress to attack or undermine a job guarantee compared to a UBI, right? People are working, they're producing something, they're earning an income. It's sort of the American values in that sense, or if someone's willing to work for a living, they shouldn't be poor. And so I think it's just a more compelling program.